Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and across the table in the studio is, of course, Mr. Nate Newton. Nate, how are you, sir?
Pleasure to be here, per usual.
Man, the pleasure's mine.
I know it is.
It really is.
You're welcome.
Oh, God. You know, I love second place. It's my favorite.
How am I gonna be first place if you're first place?
Well, that's true.
Shake and bake, baby.
I get to be first a lot when I'm in here by myself. And then I have everything rolled out when you get here. You're like that welder that shows up and like somebody puts his hood on for him and hands him a rod.
With the rod's already in the stinger for me.
Just to hand it to you. So, yeah. You're welcome. Fuck you. You're welcome. I'm making you look good.
You're a great helper, Josh.
Oh, man. You know, sometimes let me take that back. Not sometimes. I always enjoy our pregame conversations and the wide-ranging part. And because I woke up this morning in about as shitty of a fucking mood as I've been in a long time.
No shit.
Yeah. My dark passenger hadn't had the wheel
for a minute.
It's been a really long time. And I woke up this morning and I'm just like, I won't fucking do this anymore. You know, I mean, it was kind of that level. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to remove yourself from the bullshit and engage in some good conversation and strategic conversations. And I'm like, I'm fucking ready to roll now.
Yeah, that fucking grind will get to you, you know that.
Yeah.
So we talk about that a lot. Once the excitement's gone and all that's left is the work. You know, that's the hard part. But there's been plenty of days where I'm like, fuck this, I'm done. Right. You know, I'm gonna go back to pipeline and I haven't given up yet. But
yeah,
there's days.
There are days, and this is 2.5 years. You know, the coaching, and still trying to grow it. And it's not anywhere close to where I need it to be. And first of all, just a quick sidebar. The feedback we're getting from there in what conversation is fire. Yeah,
people really resonated with that one. And I mean, I'm glad that it's becoming more of an open topic, you know, to know that he talks about it too. And, you know, we had Cam Hill on here. We talked about it a while ago. And, it's easy to get lost in that darkness, you know, and I'm glad to see that light's being shown upon it.
Yeah, me too. So keep sending us messages, keep giving us feedback on that. Man, that one's fire. But in that conversation, and this is what happens when you start comparing yourself to other people and what they've done and what they've accomplished or the perception of accomplishment. In that interview, he states, you know, he's got 75 people on his team now. He's got multifaceted company, right? He just doesn't have 75 people. It's total software, marketing, training, these different departments. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Right? Stay in your fucking lane, Josh.
Yeah, it's like, I think that's a good point, because as I re-listened to the conversation Monday, I found myself like, okay, what is it that I need to change? What is it that I need to do differently? And then I have to remind myself, his formula doesn't work with me. Right. I can't plug myself into his equation and get the same result. That's ridiculous.
Right.
But it also gets a little disheartening.
Right.
You know, I'm like, what the fuck am I not doing right? And this isn't a fucking pity party. I'm to do better. No, I'm just like, you know, this is the conversation, the internal dialogue that I've had this week. And then, but right on the other flip side of that is like, the leadership trainings are starting to grow.
Yep.
The impact that those are having.
Dude, like watching our guys come out of the leadership training and watching them at work the next day after the leadership training, like you can tell they want to engage with this stuff. Like they have all these little aha moments during the training. And, you know, usually we'll have people in leadership positions for a couple weeks before we send them to leadership training. And so it's awesome for them to get in there, try out their tactics, and we go, okay, this is what you're going to do, actually, and then send them to you. and they come out of there and they're fucking pumped to get after it. You know, like they have tools now to work with.
Exactly.
And it's like that. That position of leadership is so stressful, and you're always second guessing yourself, right? When you're the one that's the authority figure, and you're trying to make sure everybody else is taken care of, and you're trying to appease the owners but also appease the crews, and you're that middleman, and you don't really feel like you know what you're fucking doing. And that leadership training, it really gives you all the tools. And how many real world scenarios come up while you're going through that training? Like, dude, I just dealt with that last week. Right?
Every time we do the training, real life situations come up in conversation, which is great because we discuss how it was solved, and then we discuss how it could be solved differently with the new set of skills and tools that they have. I got a message last week. I think it was last week or the week before. I did some leadership training. There was this company decided to put their whole team through it, regardless of position. The whole company was in there. I think it's about if I remember, I think it was a 10-person training. The owners messaged me a couple days later and was like, this guy is now doing this. This foreman and this guy have never gotten along this well before. And he was just like, hey, just wanted to shut up, tell you thank you, and what you're doing is working, which is awesome, right? They would go out of their way to give me some feedback.
Yeah. It's not just I got what I paid for.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's above and beyond that service,
completely. Yeah. So, when I have those moments of thoughts, I'm like, fuck, is this working or not? It's like immediately something shows up.
Right.
And
I think it provides, this, especially if you have everybody involved, the people that aren't in positions of leadership, it helps them understand why leadership does what leadership does. And that this level of understanding, that you're, like you said, always seek to understand. Well, most people can't get out of their way long enough to seek to understand. So going through that training, people understand real fucking quick. You're showing them exactly why we do what we do.
And it's not positional training. It's leadership training.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's behavioral training.
It's really behavioral, communicative training. We go through emotional discipline and emotional intensity. We go through emotional, which is always great. It's one of my favorite pieces of the training.
Right. I like the video you posted of you getting all fired up about the emotional intensity.
Yeah.
And I knew who was in that training, and it was our guy Grant. And I'm like, awesome, Josh is yelling at Grant right now. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And then, if you watch to the end, I start laughing, and I'm using that as an example of emotional intensity. And so it's always a fun part of the training. I did the same thing a couple weeks ago up in Reno, and with one of their young guys, I'm leaned over the table, over this guy, it's all made up.
Right.
But
it still triggers the response.
It triggers the response, right? And being able to, even if it's mimicking or mocking, for me, and I'm not really angry, but I'm portraying anger.
Right.
He was pinned back in his seat, staring at me this is, you could tell the look on his face. This is really uncomfortable right now.
He's like, I'm sorry?
Yeah. Should I be apologizing?
Right.
And, getting to engage in that and have those real life situations come up in conversation. Because every time I do the training, I said, this is not meant to be stand and deliver. This is meant to be engaging, ask questions, disagree with me. It's completely open. This is not me saying, here's the Bible on how to become a leader. I'm giving you a box full of tools. You're going to take something out of it that maybe you had an area of weakness, or maybe something that now complements your leadership style more. And that's going to be different than what maybe Matt gets or what Grant got out of it. But that leadership training, the workbook too is a huge asset in that training, because you take the workbook with you,
right?
Because you have to, part of the training is you have to write out different plans, emotional maturity plans, growth plans, different things. It's like, hey, look, you're creating a roadmap of how to become a better leader.
It kind of gives them a sense of accountability too. It's like, well, okay, well, I thought this was a great idea when it was in that training. Like, why am I not implementing this? Why am I not executing on this?
Especially if I follow up
Yeah.
a few weeks
Hey,
later.
let me see that book, bro.
How you doing on your growth plan?
Right.
What's that?
Yeah.
That's,
It's growing
Leave a
in intention
message.
to do something.
yeah, but anyway, it's just I wanted to to bring that up to remind people really of just some of the different services that the Tradesman Experience offers. I've posted a couple times. I created this full page menu of what we have. Everything from this podcast, which is free, to the toolbox, which is $25 a month, to the trainings in the job box, which the job box is still evolving as well, to hourly coaching, leadership coaching, monthly unlimited, to on-site training. Everything from free to full investment, full benefit. Right. And there's something that I've noticed, conversations that I've had, people always, not always, but often they say, man, I've been thinking about reaching out to you for about 3 or 4 months now, about 5 or 6 months now. One client I'm working with now, last September, he said, man, I've been, I was wanting to reach out to you since September. The point is, just fucking do it, right? And I'm not, and I'm promoting action. If you don't reach out to me, find a coach, find a mentor, find a training program, find something that you've been thinking about or you've been neglecting that you need to do. Fucking do it.
Right.
Expedite that. Don't procrastinate it. Quit putting, oh man, I'm busy, or I'll call you, I'm thinking about this. And I mean, I still get emails from people. Hey man, love what you're doing. I'm working through some stuff. I'm going to contact you. Are you?
Yeah. Do you ever ask them when they're like, yeah, I meant to reach out to this long ago. You're like, what the fuck were you waiting for?
Yes.
What were you waiting for?
Yeah.
The timing to be right?
No, it's really, actually the realization sets in once we get into the coaching, and they realize that the time that they've waited was just time that they've wasted.
Right.
It's like, God damn it.
That makes sense.
Should have done that 6 months ago.
Right.
So just make a decision, take action, fucking get that shit done.
Fucking do something.
It's just, the contractor mastermind, the contractor fight, there's other different programs. Like, find something that aligns with you, that is going to inspire you, that's going to equip you with the tools that you need. Find something and invest in it. Right. It's going to make a tremendous difference in your business.
Yeah.
So,
as much as you think you got it figured out.
and that's the brilliance of it, right? Is it takes multiple different facets to build this equation and formula for success in your company. I might be a good fit. I might not. Guy I'm working with in Vegas right now. Awesome dude. We just had our first meeting. We had our consult. We had our first training. And shout out to Danny, by the way. Just a good dude, but he sends me an email and he's interested. He's inquiring about the coaching. I sent him an email back and said, hey, I like to have consults at no cost to you. I never use the word free. At no cost to you, because I want to make sure that we align, right, and that you feel that I'm a good fit for your company, and I feel that you're a good fit as a client. And if we agree on that, then we can move forward in the coaching. Right. And it was really awesome because he said, your email is what sold me. He's like, the fact that you didn't try to sell me anything, you were completely honest with me, and you said, if I don't feel like I'm a good fit, I'll let you know. And he goes, I knew right then you were a good fit. Shit. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to go work with somebody that you're going to waste their time and money.
That's right. And I've done that. I've worked with companies.
Was it your brother? I got to get jabbed in there about
every opportunity. I do step out of the lane of the skilled trades occasionally. I'm very, very picky
Right.
about who I work with because I care more about who I work with than I do the industry itself. But early on, I kind of stepped way out of my lane, got into two things happened. One is I should have realized I wasn't the best solution for them. That was the one thing. The second thing is I made the mistake of working with middle management and not working with the top leaders. And it started to create some issues in the company that the middle management was outgrowing their management.
Right.
Because they were becoming better leaders, which means their expectations were increasing. And now that kind of human hierarchy of leadership started to take place.
Yep.
And
I worked from the top down with that shit.
And it was really cool because we ended that agreement mutually. They said, here's the money that we owe you. Here's some more money just because
go away.
We appreciate what you've done. But we realize we need to go a different direction. And I said, you actually took the words out of my mouth because this conversation for me was going to be encouraging you to go to a different direction. And it worked out perfectly.
Right.
They did. And their business has just soared because they found someone that really compliments them, but also motivates them to do what they need to do.
Right.
Also gives them the systems and the structure that they need. I wasn't a good fit.
Yeah. Dude, I don't fit into most places.
It's true.
It's
how you're shaped.
Yeah, it is. Doors ain't big enough. Yeah.
That's how you're shaped.
Yeah. But you got to read a room,
Yeah.
Know when it's not your fucking room. And not everyone's made for you,
Yeah.
I've fucked that up plenty of times. Get a lot of weird looks from people.
But, my message here is stop hem hawing around. Just make a fucking decision and take action and do that. So, if there's an opportunity that I can work and be a part of your team and help you develop your leadership, look at your business operations, then just have a conversation. Just send me an email, hit me up on Instagram.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah. Cost nothing for the consult.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah,
No cost.
Nothing.
No cost to you. So, moving into today's topic is, as usual, comes from conversations, experiences that I've had recently. And a conversation I got really, really deep into yesterday, as of this recording, confidence in charging your worth. And it's funny because I remember when you and I went through this, when, you went through the sales training. Was that 2 years now?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But the same thing. The issue was, this is what it costs to operate our business. But when I do proposals, I feel like we're too high. Right? Very common thought process.
Yeah. And what makes it too high?
Right.
What metric makes it too high? Well, somebody else charges less? Is that what makes it too high? Is it
that you wouldn't pay that?
That's exactly what it is.
Usually that's what it is, right? Yeah. A mistake that a lot of people make is they sell on their own budget. Which is why I talk about it's not selling, it's serving.
Right.
You're problem solving.
Right. Well, especially for us in the ornamental game, dude, these people's budgets, if we're building a $10 million custom home, I can't fathom their fucking budget.
Right.
Right? Dude, there's houses that we've put $150,000, $200,000 worth of railing into, but they want high-end, elaborate shit that is built perfectly. The reveals are all exactly what they're supposed to be, and these people have an eye for detail.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes. And I'm like, dude, I can't believe you're going to spend this much on this. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And they want what they want, and you got to provide it to them, and understanding what it is that you're selling, which I feel like most people don't. Most people, in the ornamental game, they'd be like, oh, I'm selling a rail. Well, we don't sell rails at all. We sell fucking protective artwork.
Right.
Safety artwork.
Yeah.
That's what we're selling.
Yeah. Man, there's so many things to unpack in what you just said. One is you have to clearly be able to learn and know what it is that they want.
Mm-hmm.
There was absolutely situations where I had clients buy a brand new furnace and air conditioner that I felt was probably worth more than the house we were putting it in.
Jesus.
Who am I to make that decision?
Right.
They weren't, I mean, whether they financed it, paid cash, that doesn't matter. They knew what they wanted. They made a decision. I didn't sell them anything. I wasn't selling them anything they didn't want or need.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think it's important to understand that, especially for my point.
You're not being a shark.
Not at all.
You're identifying the want and need of the client and you're fulfilling it.
That's it. Giving them option-based solutions,
Mm-hmm.
allowing them to decide. There were several times, even my installers were like, this furnace is worth more than the house.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Just make sure that when we're done, it's the cleanest part of the house. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't care about that. Putting new systems into, I mean, where I'm from, single wide trailers aren't uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in one for a while. We know
I was about to say, you mean your childhood home?
Yeah. And there were times, I mean, a $10,000 HVAC system into a single wide trailer.
God damn. Yeah, but it's the Midwest.
Yeah.
Out of all the things in your house you want, that's the fucking one.
Especially in a tin can.
Yeah, right.
In August in the Midwest.
Yeah, right.
It gets 2 million degrees inside that thing.
Might as well be in an Airstream.
They're ridiculous. But my point was, it's like, part of my job is to discover what their budget is. In part of that conversation, and obviously we're kind of jump around on this a little bit, but identifying what their need is. When I start presenting option-based solutions, that's going to help me really identify what their budget is, because I'm not going to have a conversation about lowering my price.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to have a conversation about how we can modify the options that we've offered to work within your budget.
Right. Yeah, we're not selling the same shit for less.
No.
And I mean, I think a lot of people, when they're first starting out in business, they don't understand exactly what goes into the items that they produce or the service that they provide,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're just like, oh, it's hours, standard market value for hours and, 5% markup on material.
Right.
Which 5% markup on material isn't dick.
Well, okay. Do you know how much it costs to operate your business?
Exactly. That's kind of the point I was getting to, is that you have to have an understanding of what it takes to make money.
Yeah.
And how much of that money can you make and should you be making, right? I mean, some people are like, oh, I need to make 50% profit margins. It's like, well, is that gross or net? Like, are you fucking delusional or what are you doing here?
That's a whole nother tangent we can go down on the whole 50% gross profit thing. But
But you need to understand what it takes to produce the things that you do. And I'll tell you right now, when you're first starting out, it is a hell of a lot more than you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like Matt and I were running around rig welding for $75 an hour. That's borderline retarded behavior.
Did you even make a truck payment at that?
No, luckily it's paid off.
Luckily.
Yeah. I was driving a 2001 F350.
Old Big Red.
Old Big Red, yeah.
But, but it's a great point. It costs what it costs to operate your business. Mm-hmm. Now, when you look at how you're staffed, you need to make sure that you're not heavy on overhead,
mm-hmm.
which I will tell you was a mistake that I made. We didn't have enough revenue generators per overhead position.
Mm-hmm.
You need 3 to 5 revenue generators per one full overhead position.
Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of heavy on the overhead position part, but you need to know what it costs to operate your business.
Right.
What it is what it is. You cannot change that number. If you want to change that number, you have to either fire people, streamline your operations,
mm-hmm.
take control of your money habits, but it costs what it costs to operate your business.
Right.
That part of that equation has to plug right into that formula and go, okay, this is what I need to be selling at.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's hourly, whether you're doing a markup, whether it's flat rate, regardless of what it is, that's what it costs to operate your business.
Yeah.
If you're not, so back to the selling on your budget, and then I'm going to segue into another piece on that. If you're trying to sell your product and you're trying to sell everything on your budget, I sold a $42,000 geothermal install one time. I could have not afforded a $42,000 geothermal system.
Right.
When I sold that job. But that was irrelevant.
Yeah.
If I went into that conversation imposing my budget, my finances onto my client.
They're getting a box fan.
Yeah. Have you looked into a window unit? Have you yard sold at all? You know?
You didn't even look, did you?
Yeah. Cold shower, bro, before bed every night. If I would have walked into that conversation with that mindset, one, I wouldn't have even got to that as an option because I wouldn't have even wrote it out.
Right.
I would have created option-based solutions around my budget instead of their want or need. That leads into being confident in what it is that you're pricing. So there's a standard market value in every industry, in every area. You need to know what that is.
Right.
That is your baseline of the game. If it's $100 an hour, then you should be at least $100 an hour.
Yeah. You definitely shouldn't be below that. Exactly.
The whole narrative comes up and says, well, they're a bigger company. They've got more overhead. I'm new. I need to get clients. All of this justification comes into play as to why they need to be cheaper.
That makes you look cheap.
Then, okay, yeah, it does. So, all right, let's say you hire 1 or 2 or 3 people. Now you need to be at $100 an hour. And you do that within a 2-year period. You go back to work for a client that you worked with in year 1 who was paying you $75 an hour. And now you're $100. What experience did you just create for them?
Oh, now they're pissed.
They are pissed. Yeah. Wait, last time I had you guys out, you were $75 an hour. Why is it $100? Well, we had to hire a couple guys and things are more expensive now. Like you go into this retarded justification. You're trying to tell the client why your business costs money to operate.
Right, yeah.
You do not need to be having that conversation with your client. So start yourself out in that baseline, that standard market value.
Well, because we do that with our guys even with moonlighting. We're like, hey, if you're going to go out and do any side work, for one, you got to run it by us first, which we don't mind. Dude, we don't want to do half of the shit they're going out to do. So it's just less of a headache for us. But we're like, the biggest stipulation is you have to charge a minimum of $100 an hour. Like that's the minimum. But yeah, do your thing. But we're like, don't come in here and fuck up the market like we did.
Don't be doing shit for $50 an hour.
Yeah.
That's and I had those same conversations with some of my guys. But if you're not confident in what you're charging, first of all, you got to identify why. Why is it that if you were working for someone else that was charging X number of dollars per hour or operating at the standard market value, and you were getting paid to do work, and you didn't have any issues or concerns or even cared about it, the moment that you now start charging for the same level or better level of professional service, higher quality standard that you're providing, why are you not confident in charging the same for a better experience?
Right. Yeah. That makes zero fucking sense, right? But it's because you don't have the confidence in your self-worth and your abilities, right?
Right.
You're like, oh, well, I don't know how to run a business.
Yeah, so I should
clearly,
do it for
cheaper. Yeah. My invoice was on a handwritten ticket. No, I got knocked $10 an hour off for that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome is one. Right. The kind of man, I started this. It's going well. I don't feel like I belong here, which I'm.
No, I've been there.
Guilty of. Yeah. Absolutely.
I still do it all the time, actually.
Yeah. I'm much more confident in it now. But, when I started this, the hourly coaching is $150 an hour. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
And it can alter depending if, how we're doing training or if we're doing multifaceted training, but it's $150 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's my company rate. That's not me.
Yeah, you're not making $150 an hour.
Absolutely not. But in the beginning, especially starting out, it's like, goddamn, who's going to listen to me? Who's going to pay me $150 an hour?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to think that I can, change these things in the industry?
Mm-hmm.
The last 3 clients that I have brought on every one of them told me the same thing. Hey, how much for the coaching? It's $150 an hour. Holy shit, I thought it was going to be a lot more. That was their response.
Right.
I'm like, it's $150.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, deal.
Right.
Do
you got 4 hours?
Yeah. So it was really cool. Once I gained that confidence, so bringing this back to the confidence, when I was confident in saying, yep, leadership coaching is $150 an hour.
Right.
They were confident in what I was charging.
Mm-hmm.
When I wasn't confident in stating the price,
right.
Do you think they were confident in making a decision?
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
Well, dude, because that happens with us with emergency work all the time.
Mm.
If it's same day emergency call outs, it's $250 an hour.
Right.
And that's doorstep to doorstep. We've had to drive all the way out to Mina. We sent Nick all the way out to Mina, which is like 5 hours from here.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to pay 10 hours of travel. They had a travel trailer broke down. And
right.
They're like, how much is it? Well, I'm like, $250 an hour. And they're like, well, I don't understand how it could be $250 an hour. And it's like, I'm on the phone with the lady. I'm like, look, ma'am, at the end of the day, we have to pull them off of another project and go send them out to help you out. And we're fine with doing that. But do you understand the stress and all the stuff that causes in our other projects? Like, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, can we get a discounted rate? I'm like, no. You can call somebody else. I'm not forcing you to do anything here. We're also the only ones that'll do it, and it's going to cost $250 an hour for us to do it. So, go ahead and call around. But
if it's too late, you won't get to start until tomorrow.
He's got to say yes. You wait too long, you might say fuck that.
Exactly. So I think that's a good example as well, because it's about the problem that you're solving and the value of that solution. Mm-hmm. It's not about how much you're charging per hour.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. You can fucking get out in left field with your prices.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not talking about if you're specializing, right? But if you're working in this arena where you have some competitors, there's a standard market value for what you do. Yeah, you can get too far out in left field. But otherwise, they have a problem. You have a solution. There's a value to that solution, and the way that we measure value is monetarily. We use money as a metric.
That's the scoreboard.
It's it. Mm-hmm. It's not about this costs $1,500. This is about, I can solve their problem. It's going to take me this to do it. I do provide the highest standard. I do produce the highest quality. This is the amount of time it's going to take me. Therefore, the metric is X number of dollars. Right.
Well, and I think for a lot of people too, when they start raising their rates, when they start to understand this a little bit, they get scared when they do it, because then they start losing out on jobs. And you got to realize that you've already set that false expectation for these people, and it's hard to reel it back in. So are you going to lose out on some jobs in the beginning? Yeah, but wouldn't you rather do less jobs for more money?
Right.
That makes a little more fucking sense, doesn't it?
You can afford to do things when you're in your lane. And for example, you can afford to take care of your clients. Mm-hmm. You can afford to take on those opportunities to do work for people. You can afford to say no. You can afford to refund a job and get rid of a client.
Yeah.
You can afford to do those things if you understand your value and your worth and you're charging appropriately.
Yep.
But you still have to have confidence in that. And the question is like, well, how do I get confident in selling? First of all, you have to remove yourself from the equation. Right. You're making it personal.
You're making it about you.
Yeah. You're making it personal. Mm-hmm. And you have to stop imposing their buying power based on
your limitations.
Your budget, your limitations, your perception or relationship with money. Mm-hmm. You have to remove yourself.
What have we always said? What determines the value of something?
The client.
Yeah, what somebody's willing to pay for it.
That's right. Yeah. Like the problem you're solving, again, the standard, the quality, the value, that all of those things come into play when that's what determines that. Mm-hmm. It's not. You're not there to determine
Hey,
that.
and what's worth $1,500 to one person is only worth $1,000 to somebody. He's worth $2,500 to somebody else. I mean,
Right.
it's all about the efficiency and skill and grace that you solve their problems for them, right?
Yep.
But we sell on a scale sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have like baseline stuff that we do, but especially like the ornamental stuff. If we're doing chase caps or we're doing flue covers or post feet or truss plates or some, whatever crazy shit. The more elaborate they get, the more it costs.
Yeah.
And it's not it's not a sliding scale. It's like if we help design it and we got them pumped about it, we're going to charge a little more, because we're selling art.
Yeah.
Who the fuck determines the value of art? That's definitely the client all fucking day.
What they want? Mm-hmm. Can you give them what they want? Mm-hmm. Yes. This is what the investment's going to be to produce that want.
And you're not taking advantage of somebody. No. You're rewarding your business for doing such an amazing job. Mm-hmm. So if you want the confidence, go do a fucking amazing job.
Right. Create the best experience.
Yeah. If you know how to do the job, go do it to the best of your ability. And you're going to be pretty confident in handing them that invoice when you're done.
Yeah. We were not the cheapest company. And I remember I was doing a job walk, a new construction home, kind of one of those do-it-yourself builds. The homeowner was doing a lot of the work himself. And I remember walking around. It was a full basement. And he was asking me questions. I was talking about airflow and returns and placement and all this kind of shit. I said, well, what you want is you want the basement to be comfortable and equivalent to the upstairs. And you want the master bedroom to be comfortable when you close the door. And you want this. And he said, you use the word comfortable a lot. I said, yeah. If you're just looking for air conditioning, then there's other companies that you can call. I said, part of our solution and what we do is we design these to where the whole house is comfortable.
Right.
Well, he said I've gotten a couple other bids, and one of them was this fucktard company in my hometown, and God, they were bad. He said I already got a bid from fucktard HVAC, and I said, and he goes, they were a little high. I laughed, folded up my notebook, and I said, I've never been cheaper than them, and I never will be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it. The conversation's over.
Right.
I didn't need to bid that job. Mm-hmm. He already had a perception that he cared. He didn't care about comfort. Mm-hmm. He wanted something cheap, install. He had this fabricated budget from whatever.
I always love that client budget. The client budgets. It's like, what?
You think we can do this for $5,000?
Where'd you get that number from?
Right.
Well, just I think that's what you got. Based on what?
Based on what?
Yeah. That's just what it looks like it should cost. Oh, okay. Let's run with that.
Right.
Yeah. Let me tell you why you're wrong.
Yeah. It's like, well, okay. It's but
I also like explaining that to clients too. Though.
Right.
Like breaking it down and really like, hey, if you guys really want to know why it costs this much to do this, here's why.
Yeah.
And dude, a lot of them they're pretty appreciative of it.
Inform and educate. Mm-hmm. All right, which brings me, kind of to another point of being able to add value and understand your worth is being able to inform and educate your clients. Mm-hmm. You have to identify their want, and then it is your responsibility to offer solutions and inform and educate them on each solution. But the inform and educate is not how you're doing the fucking job, how it solves their problem.
Right.
That's what you have to inform and educate them on.
Don't get all technical with it.
Be like, well, if we use this rod, or we could do this, or
nobody gives a fuck.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Is that way? It's like, wait, does this solve my problem?
Yeah.
Or not?
Right.
The HVAC industry was really simple to do option-based solutions because of the variety of efficiencies available in furnaces and air conditioners. Mm-hmm. Basically, miles per gallon of AC units. So I could give you low mile per gallon, middle mile per gallon, high mile per gallon. Those options were easy to create, but it was also my job to inform and educate them of how each one of those solutions, how each one of those options were going to solve their problem, and how it was going to solve their problem in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I didn't go in there saying, okay, well, I think it'll be about 5,000. How does that work? Oh man, that's too high. Okay, well, what about 4,500? Which I've talked with companies, and this is how they would literally they would slide a piece of paper across and say it had $10,000 on it. Oh man, that's too high. Okay, mark it out, 8,800. Slide it back across. Yeah, almost. Like that's actually how some sales are done.
What the fuck?
Swear to God,
Jesus.
The whole conversation is about the money. It's not about the value. It's not about how you're going to solve the problems. It's not informing and educating. It's not creating an experience.
Yeah.
It's not setting expectations.
I mean, you feel like you're buying a fucking used car at that point.
Right.
You showed up with 10 grand and then you knocked 1,200 right off the bat.
Yeah.
Well, where the fuck was that going? You're just pocketing $1,200?
Yep.
And you were able to knock it off there? What are we doing it for cost now?
Yeah. Did I tell a story about me selling a new system to a used car salesman?
Yeah. Fucking dudes yelling and hollering at your tech. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to be straight with people.
Right. Yeah.
Knowing that you're either going to get fired, you're going to sell a job. I told a customer to, if he rolled up my proposal tight enough, he could stick it in his ass. I'm not saying these are great tactics.
Did he attempt it?
He bought.
Wow. All right. Yep. Threatened him with sodomy, and he's like, that's my guy.
Oh, he was being a dick. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I didn't give a shit if I got the job or not. He didn't even fucking look at me. He didn't get up from his seat. He just stuck his hand out and said, all right, let me see how bad you're going to screw me. I said, well, if you roll up this proposal tight enough, you can use it. He said, you're $600 higher than the other guy. I said, good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, give me your pen. So he got that was the whole fucking sales call. That was the whole sales call. Those are exceptions.
Right. You got to be able to read people in order to sell like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That guy ended up literally from that moment, he became one of my best customers.
Fucking A.
Period.
Yeah.
I mean, just what if I told him that, hey, if we paint all of these registers gold, it'll make your air conditioner better. He would have been like, fucking paint them gold. Like whatever. Yeah. Like he was full trusting.
Right.
Back to the point, I've got to be confident that I'm solving their problem. Mm-hmm. If I'm confident that I'm the best option, I'm the best choice, I'm providing the best solution, that I am going to create the best experience in solving their problem. Mm-hmm. It's not about the money. I'm not worried about the money.
Right. You know what I think helps a little bit with that too? Get out there and find out who your rivals are. Mm-hmm. Find out who they are, how they operate. I mean, we know every welder in this town. You know, it's not like I'm trying to gain an edge on them or anything. It's that
you need that market awareness.
Yeah, it's like, what are we all working on?
Yeah,
I got shit that I don't want to deal with. Do you guys want it? Well, we'll throw it your way.
So we never. I don't think honestly. I say we never. I'm pretty sure we never did a track home or a spec home ever.
Oh God, dude, the margins in those things.
It's.
Unless you're the actual investor, those things, they just seem like not a place to make money.
Right. And it wasn't. I remember one specifically, I bid it, and he was like, you're $3,000 higher. And I knew who the company was, and I had a really good relationship.
Was it Fucktard?
No, it was a different one. It was a different one.
All right.
And but he told me, he said, look, I will use you on all of our custom homes, but it's not in our budget. But again, it's like contract. Like, how are you coming up with these budgets to efficiently and effectively heat and cool a home?
Right.
How are you coming up with these arbitrary numbers?
They just want it to last for a year. That's all they care about.
It's like, well, we have $8,000 in the budget. I'm like, you have $8,000 for a furnace, an air conditioner, ductwork, wiring, installation. You have $8,000. You want me to do that for $8,000,
right? Which
I think this job was actually like, he was like at the $6,000 mark, brand new home.
Holy shit!
And I'm like,
Can you even buy an AC unit for under $6,000?
No, we had more in material and labor, but my competitor was buying everything prefabbed, everything. It was all just
garbage.
buy it, bang it together and throw it in. And, the other thing is I refused to lower our operating standards to try to work in that market.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what my lane was. Our lane was custom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wasn't we didn't want a quick turnaround. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Like there was a shit ton of those HVAC companies weren't from.
Yeah. Because Nick, our field foreman, he used to be a glazer, and they would go in, he'd get paid by the window.
Right.
And dude, they go in and set 4 houses, all the windows and sliding glass doors on 4 houses in a tract home or subdivision in a day.
Yeah.
And they'd be done by noon. He gets paid. It wasn't much, but they were paying like a couple of bucks a window. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
Your point on knowing, your competition, I knew that in the 3 bid seemed to always, it was like, we're getting 3 bids. We're getting 3 bids. I don't know what internet trend that was.
It still works that way.
Yeah.
All these, especially these big PM companies, dude, it's like 3 bid minimum. They're like, don't come to us until you have 3 bids. Yeah. And dude, around here, especially like a TI project, we're one of the few people that'll bid on it. Mm-hmm. So it's like us and one, maybe 2 others will bid on it. But TIs are such a pain in the ass. They can't get 3 bids. And they're like, okay, well now it's going to move to some weird fucking contract type. And I'm just like, dude, come on, you're cutting all my profit out here.
Yeah.
I bid it to make money,
Well, but you know what your profit is. You know what your overhead operating expense. You know what that number needs to be. Again, back to it costs what it costs to operate your business.
Yeah, like a T&M with a not to exceed. But then they start wanting all your payroll shit, and you're like, this is a little invasive.
Right. When they would get 3 bids, I knew that the other 2 companies were going to come in there and try to sell them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's their job. My approach, I would tell every client, I said, Nate, my job is not to sell you anything. My job is to give you all of the information so you make the best decision for you and your family. If that decision is me, I'm thrilled to have the opportunity. If that decision is with somebody else, I care about you making the best decision for you. So I'm going to give you all the information that I can that's going to allow you to make that decision.
Mm. Kind of sounds like you're selling, Josh. So once you're in the game, right? You kind of You once you start to understand sales from that perspective, it's like when you watch somebody else sell by moving numbers around and cutting, shaving stuff off and this and that. It's like that I couldn't fathom selling that way anymore. Dropping your numbers for no apparent reason and just making. Yeah. You're giving them money to do the same job.
So, again, my industry was a lot of contractors would come in and they would just pull this box out and put a new box in. Mm-hmm. They didn't talk about efficiency. They didn't talk about warranty. They didn't talk about maintenance agreements. They didn't talk about sound. They didn't identify any concerns, wants, or needs of the client. They didn't discuss anything with them about thermostat, air noise. How many homes have you been in where you have to turn up the volume when the furnace kicks on because the fucking return air is right by the TV?
No, dude, my last house, the AC was from 1986 or something, dude. That thing kicked on. You fucking knew it.
Yeah. But if the other company didn't come in, and if I wasn't being thorough in my assessment, and if I saw a return anywhere close to a living room, I may say, hey, Nate, do you have to turn up the volume on the television when the air conditioner kicks on? Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. One of the best times to alter your ductwork to mitigate and minimize that sound is during an installation of a new system. Mm-hmm. Is that an option you would like me to explore and let you know what that investment's going to be? Mm. Are you going to tell me no?
Yeah. Let me know.
Again, I'm not selling.
Right.
I'm identifying concerns, wants, needs.
Yeah.
I'm providing option-based solutions.
No problems you didn't even know you had. You were just like, click up on the remote. Yeah. You could not have to move your finger.
Right.
Just saying.
Outside units, AC units sitting outside of a bedroom window. That was always a big one.
Yep.
Hey,
That was my last house.
yep. Best time to relocate this unit is during replacement. We can move it around here. We can put it on the other end of the home. Options. You start informing and educating the client.
Yeah.
Now they're like, well, if I'm going to spend,
They can't buy what they don't know exists.
yes. But if they look, if the other two companies come in and they say, yeah, we're going to put a brand new furnace in, a brand new air conditioner in, and a brand new thermostat in, and it's $8,000. And they don't talk about the noise. They don't talk about the location of the outdoor unit. They don't talk about uncomfortable bedrooms. They don't address anything. I come in, and let's say my bid's $10,000. These numbers are arbitrary, by the way, but they're going to look at it and go, well, if I'm spending $8,000, what's 10 if I'm going to get all of these other things too?
Yeah, you're getting shit addressed.
I'm solving their problems.
They'll gladly give you that extra $2,000.
Absolutely. Because also part of the informant education process is building trust with the client. They have to trust me. Also in line with trust, they have to like me.
Right. Yeah.
People buy from people they like. And if they like you and you can solve their problems, it's not your job to find their money. It is your job to discover what their budget is.
Right.
So if I lay down a price and you go, man, Josh, like I would love to do these things, but that is out of our budget. Our budget is $8,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me look. What is it that you can live without? Of the modifications that we've laid out here, the problems that were solved with, noise, airflow, comfortability, and efficiency, let's start talking about what we can take away. And this was something that I learned. I would say, Nate, I want to do whatever we can to earn your business within your budget.
Yeah.
More trust.
Right.
Again, I'm not trying to sell them anything. My price is my price.
Right.
This is what it fucking costs to run the business.
If I'm not selling it to you, I'm going to sell it to somebody else.
God, but again, it's like remove yourself from the price. Focus on what it is that they want, what it is that they need, what problem are you solving.
Yep.
The price is the price.
Stop putting discounts on shit.
All right, so let's talk about discounts.
Fuck discounts.
I said that in your office yesterday.
You sure did.
I was like, wait, I just told somebody this. Yeah, I said that told that in your office yesterday because there was a few of us in there having a conversation, and we were talking about another business that we are closely affiliated with, and it came up and it said, oh, if you do this discount, I said, don't give discounts.
Yep, don't do that.
And there was like this a silence, and I'm like, stop doing discounts. Like, stop it. Don't do. Why are you discounting the value of what you?
Why are you giving them money to do their project?
Exactly.
Yeah, but people they're like, oh, first time customer, we're going to give you 15-20% off, and it's like, why?
Right.
For what? Are you not doing the same fucking work? Well, this is how I go out and generate clients. It's like, no, because you can't fucking sell.
All you're doing is generating clients that want shit cheap.
Cheap shit. You know what?
They want to
tell you what. You keep doing the discounts.
Yeah.
And you can deal with those people, and we'll deal with the people that
you gather all of them.
You have them.
Yeah. That was a conversation I had too when we started talking about discounts, and the conversation of friends and family came up, in which I've learned the really
I'm
hard
charging
way.
motherfuckers double.
they want to support me. They should pay. But this is something I know I've mentioned on here before, but it's worth re-mentioning, is if someone is asking for a discount, let's just say it's $1,000 job, they want a 10% discount, that's $100. What they're asking is they're basically walking up to you on the street and going, hey, can I have $100? And to have, I'm not going to pay it back. I want $100. When they ask for a discount from you, that's exactly what they're doing. If you wouldn't give them $100 out of your pocket and not expect it back, why are you discounting your work?
Right.
So the gentleman I was talking with, I told him, I said, with friends and family, this is how I did it. It was either full price or free. If I made a decision to just do it and do it for free, that was my choice.
Right.
I wasn't allowing them to dictate the value of what I was doing. I said, Nate, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
I have like one guy that I do that with. And that's the dude salted the chance. That's the only guy that I do that shit with.
Absolutely.
Because that dude will give you his shirt off his fucking back and then go run inside his house and bring his dresser out and give you all the clothes out of that too. You know, but I'm the same way, dude. I don't do the friends and family discounts. It's like, no, dude, you pay full price. And if you ask me for a discount, whatever discount you wanted, I'm tacking that onto the fucking bill too. You want 20% off? Boom, 120%.
Yeah. One of my favorite responses is, hey, we want you to come do this. I'm like, you probably can afford me.
Yeah, right. Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Let's,
it's going to take about 6 months to get you penciled in on the schedule.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Stop. Again, discounts are just undervaluing who you are and what you do. And it's kind of like the cash buy thing. And I think there's a balance that can be run. People say, well, if I pay cash, is there a discount? It doesn't cost me any less to operate my business.
Right. Yeah.
Regardless, you pay cash, fucking rubles,
right,
or prostitution. Like,
ooh, that one might get taxed differently.
Oh, that's true. What revenue bracket is that? It costs the same. I can't pay my guys less. I can't.
Yeah.
Turn the fucking light. Oh, we're doing a cash job. Turn the lights off.
Right.
Right. Like we gotta streamline. Yeah. You know, it costs what it costs. Now, the reason I said that, there's a balance there. If you offer financing, very popular in the residential service companies. Okay. If you offer financing, then you should know statistically, if you're financing 3 out of 10 jobs, all right, 30% of your sales are going to be financed. So what you do is you spread that finance fee out over all 10 jobs. That way, now you've got, an X number of percentage tucked onto every job. So that those 3 clients aren't absorbing all of the finance fee. Everyone is. Smart business. Okay. If you have that structure, which, by the way, you got to be really in tune with your numbers and job costing and all the good bells and whistles that go with that. Then I might say we can do, if my percentage of financing is 6%, I might say I can do a 6% discount for cash job.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I can figure that up. I can take that financing fee out of there. They can pay cash. There's a discount. I'm okay with that. The other jobs are going to absorb it anyway.
Right.
But to do that and not have that information and not to be that in tune with your business.
Just dumb. Yeah.
It's like,
you're just giving money away.
10%.
Yeah.
It's like, from what?
Yeah.
Where did that number come from?
Can I do a 10% shittier job?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I do 10% less? No. So, and I've had clients, that's a question I've gotten multiple times. Hey, I've got a customer that's wanting to pay cash. At the end of the day, it's up to you, but here's how I look at it. And I'd lay that exact scenario out. And it's hilarious because every single time they go back to the customer, say, we're happy to take cash, but we don't do discounts. They sold the job anyway.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What the shot?
People are going to ask. And if you're not confident, back to the confidence thing, if you're not confident in the value that you bring and the problems that you're solving and the quality that you produce, you're going to get sucked into that bargaining game, that negotiation of cash discounts, family discounts. Well, I thought it was going to take me 4 hours. It took me 3 hours, so I adjusted the bid. It's like, unless you're doing straight T&M, what the fuck are you doing? Why would you make less money for being better at your job?
Right.
What? Okay, take off an hour, but increase your rate.
Right.
If it's 4 hours at $100, now it's 3 hours at $150.
Especially small town, we work with the same motherfuckers a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I know the ones that have to get the bargain, right? They got to get the deal. There's just some jobs you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So I throw 20% over onto those bids so that they can talk me down 10 and I still get the extra 10%, right? Just for dealing with the bargaining. But
the time. We would put an asshole tax on stuff too.
Yep.
Client. And it wasn't that they were, if they were a real asshole, we didn't do work for them anyway.
Right.
But if it was that time suck thing, it's like,
or they're going to try and wear you down and you just play along with it. And you're like, whatever, we threw the money in there for it. So,
right.
Yeah.
I ran into the whole family issue the family issue in charging because, it was a family member. They owned real estate,
Mm-hmm.
which means they had income. That was a business for them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to me, that's a business to business transaction.
Yeah, for sure.
And they did not like that.
Well,
They
tough shit.
didn't like that at all. I'm like, well, call the
somebody
other
else.
guy back. Yeah, they used fucktard HVAC
Oh,
a
all
lot
right.
before me, and then they found out that they were trying to screw them a lot.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, but here's the deal. I said, because again, I was okay not taking on that work.
Right.
Perfectly fine with it because I didn't want any conflict of interest and bullshit coming up. I said, okay, but here's the deal. This is the pay structure. This is it. You do this to make money. I do this to make money.
Right.
Business to business transaction, period.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was a fight for 4 years. I think it did that work for him.
God. I wouldn't even engage.
Yeah. I'd have to chase him down to get money. I'm like,
What the fuck, man?
We've done, they got 9 or 10 real estate properties. We're doing maintenance. I'm like, hey, you're 90 days out on some of this.
Yeah.
Like,
Let's go.
I can't do any more work for you until you pay your bill.
Right. Well, come on.
Yeah.
We're going to lose occupancy.
Yeah. Which is something I would do too, right? If somebody owed me money, I'm like, no service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pay your bill.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to pay today.
You have to pay everything.
Everything. No,
Yeah.
we're not
doing
I'm not
partials.
financing your bullshit
Right.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
That was another hard lesson.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at there's huge dynamics here, right? Especially when you work in the commercial world and contractors and you have net 30, 45, 60, 90, depending on what the contract is.
365.
Is that a thing?
Fuck yeah.
Feels like a thing.
It's not supposed to be.
Not supposed to be.
Yeah.
But if you're turning work out and it's, you don't have, it's not an ongoing project, you should be collecting. If somebody comes to pick something up, you collect. You're going to someone's house to fix their air conditioner, you collect. Don't finance. Why are you financing that shit? Right? But again, there's so many technicians and business owners that don't have the confidence to have the money talk.
Mm-hmm.
They will do the work and say, oh, Nate, yeah, no worries. I'll send you a bill. They feel like money is a confrontation.
To get paid as quickly as you fucking can.
Yeah.
Get paid up front if you can.
Okay. Another great conversation I had recently. Guy was like, hey man, I want to schedule a meeting. I've worked with him a lot. And he says, hey, getting into these larger projects, bigger, ticket items, so on.
Motherfucking deposit.
So he said, hey, how do I navigate the finances on this? And I said, you get 50% down
Mm-hmm.
or whatever you negotiate. I
Right.
said, but go for 50% down. So that was something he was unfamiliar with.
Mhm.
Great. We walked through the different conversations to have, how to approach it. And I think it was 2 days later, he sent me a message, said, I got 50% down for this project. And that was the easiest conversation I've ever had.
Dude, some of these larger contractors we work for, they'll flat out come up to us. Hey, is there any special deposits you guys need? Like, yeah, we want
Yeah.
materials.
That was one of the things I explained to him. I said, most of these companies are expecting to have to pay a deposit.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, because that was his question, he said, should I do a material deposit? I said, get away from the labels. Stick to percentages if you can. Because they may misinterpret that and say, well, it's a $30,000 job. They asked for a $10,000 material deposit. What's the other $20,000 for? I said, you can eliminate that potential conversation by sticking to percentages.
Right.
When we did new constructions, because it might take a fucking year, right, to build a house. We didn't have houses like they some of these are 3 year to 5 year, contracts. But if I'm looking at a 9 month, 12-month span, I'm going to have 3 deposits. I'm going to have 3 draws. 50% down at the beginning, 25% when we set equipment, and then the last 25% when we do a final walkthrough and do the trim out. The other reason I did that was I wanted the client to feel like they did have they were holding on to something until they were completely satisfied and the project was done. And I was okay with that last 20 to 25% setting in there.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't okay with 75 to 100% setting in there.
Right.
So we would work to negotiate with the GCs and the homeowners. Hey, we do this as a 3-step draw process.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept me from having to finance a job for fucking 9 months.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done that entirely way too many times,
Right.
And what's supposed to be, and people are like, oh, this is going to be a quick in and out job. That's a perfect time to get a fucking deposit because those quick in and out jobs are never fucking quick in and out.
You'll find out how much they're not in a hurry when you're waiting to start on their deposit.
Yes. Yep. Dude, we did these UNR signs, the signs up at UNR.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it was supposed to be a quick in and out fucking, they're just signs. They're little display things for these, for around the campus.
Right.
Dude, it took like 4 months to get fucking paid. We were out like $30,000 on it. And I'm just like, it's not a huge amount, but it's noticeable.
It's a state facility, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, you have an entire fucking department dedicated to paying people.
Right.
What are you doing? And I mean, like I said, it wasn't a make or break the make or break the bank. Yeah. Kind of a thing. But dude, it's noticeable, you know? Like, hey, we could use that for something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the shit you think is just, you're like, this is gonna be a slam dunk. No, it's especially not in the public works realm. There is no such thing as a slam dunk.
That's its own arena.
Yeah.
Right. That's its own entity in dealing with billing and charging and deposits and all that shit. But yeah, I just felt I wanted to have the conversation today about, just being confident in your worth, knowing your worth, being familiar with the market, like you talked about. What is the standard market value? What should you be charging? What are you charging? And then you can start to go up, from there based on the experience and the quality that you produce, because you do need to set yourself apart in the market a little bit. People don't mind paying more if they're getting more than they expect. Mm-hmm.
I think as business owners, a lot of people, they just automatically assume everybody's bargain hunting.
I think that's a really good observation.
And they're not. Are there people that are? Sure.
Of course.
You'll be able to spot them from a mile away.
Yeah. But people are looking to have their problem solved.
Yeah. And they want it done right. They want, especially in the industries we're in, they want somebody to come in, do it fucking once, and get the fuck out of their house.
Yeah. So we get called to a job. There's this little lake. It's the city lake of my hometown. They got all these homes, and some of them are like really old little cottage homes and stuff.
Hometown, so is it like a sewage cooling pond or toxic waste out from Springfield?
Two-headed catfish coming out of there. Holy shit. So we get called to go down to this house. It's an older couple. They're, I say older, 70s, mid-late 70s.
No, it's not older for you, but okay.
I remember growing up with
that your dating
we were
pool?
throwing rocks at each other, and that was sticks and my dating pool. All the time at the gym, I'm like, hey, where'd I put my walker? They call us in. They had a new system put in by Buckard HVAC. Swear to God. We go out. They had spent a winter, 3 or 4 months of a winter out there on the lake, and their power bills were all over $600 a piece, and the house would not get above 64 degrees. So
was it blowing outdoors or?
Dude, yeah. So we get called in. Somebody referred us. We get called in. We dive in. We do a full evaluation. I find a laundry list of shit, including ductwork that was never connected in the attic. So it was pulling winter air into the system from the attic and blowing it into the home while the heater was running.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we go through this laundry list of things that we need to correct, and the bill is going to be like $1,000. Mm-hmm. It's like $1,000 to fix all of this bullshit. And she said, I just bought this system. I don't think that I should have to pay $1,000 to have all of this fixed. And I said, I said, ma'am, you're more than welcome to take my assessment back to the company that installed it and have them fix it, and they shouldn't charge you.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't install the system, so for us to correct their mistakes, it's going to be $1,000. Okay. You know, it was like, I understood where she was coming from. She got screwed.
Yeah.
Right? But I also had to.
That's between you and the Lord, lady.
Exactly. Yeah, that's between you and that business owner. We had nothing to do with this. Yeah. We're here to solve your problem, and this is what it's going to take.
We're not the Better Business Bureau.
Yeah. And it was really awesome. We solved it. They were super happy, and then they were cheerleading clients for us. I mean, they fucking told everybody they knew at the nursing home. No, I'm kidding. You know, everybody they knew.
Were they your neighbors or?
Yeah. In the room next door. Knock it down, Harold. Knock it down. You know, but part of my responsibility was to alleviate their pain, was to have some empathy, right? I empathized with her. I understood that she got screwed by this company.
Right.
But I also realized that what I was doing was valuable. There was absolutely no need for me to discount the bullshit that the other company caused to solve it.
Right. Simple enough.
Simple enough. So be confident in what you're doing. Remove yourself. Remove your personal self.
Get your bullshit out of here.
From that process, and focus on the value. So, you want to get out of here?
Yep.
All right. You can find Nate on Instagram at NateNewton87. I am on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Emails thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Websites thetradesmanexperience.com, and the YouTube channel is The Tradesman Experience. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.